I don't talk this. I don't talk about this too much, but when I first started tweeting, I started tweeting in Spanish because that is my first language, right? And nobody was listening just because the Spanish market isn't just that sophisticated. But I tried to switch into English, and it was at the beginning it was kind of hard because English is more concise than Spanish. Spanish, like if it takes you 10 words in Spanish to say something, in English it should take you three. So I had to go through this like really. It was kind of hard, honestly, to just shorten everything down. When you're used to rambling, being concise is difficult, right? So I had to really like consider that. And I started writing a lot. I started writing 500 words every day, saying like, okay, I'm gonna get good at this Twitter thing. I'm gonna get good at this writing tweet stuff. And eventually, like I started getting better, started getting more concise, started getting like better tweets. And like in my head, I was like, man, like this, I just don't know how to like master this Twitter lingo, let alone English. It's like this Twitter lingo was like difficult. But I came up with this framework that I've used over and over again to like really help me write good stuff fast, because anybody can write good stuff, right? You probably have already. No, not everyone can write good stuff fast. And I would argue that if you already know how to do something well, it's easier now how do you write it fast. Okay, so I'm going to show you to take all the ideas you have in your head, because you have probably already built a business, already built an audience. You're already the kind of person who can come up with good content. I'm just going to show you how to channel that, right? How to use that, because you have a few limiting beliefs when it comes to writing and batching content out, which is like everything has to be perfect. Like, man, I'm staring at a blank page, and that's just not. It's just not true, because you've already done so much. You think so many things every day. All you need to do is know how to channel it. So this framework will help you. So once I achieved this, and once I understood this, like I just exploded on Twitter. I can write so much. People who I thought were creating a lot of content, they asked me, yo, JK, how do you create that much content? I'm like, well, it's this. So framework is very simple. 3-step process. It's we're gonna copy others, simple. We're gonna talk about ourselves, and then we're going to edit. The reason why we're going to copy others, it's because when you copy other people that have already performed well, like other tweets that have already done well, you yourself will have a good benchmark to start, right? If you're going to learn someone, learn from the greats, okay? So after that, we can't just copy, that's plagiarism, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to be the difference between copying and borrowing. Because when people, you see those threads about 10 Google Chrome extensions that are going to change your life, 10 apps that are going to change your life, like 10 secrets Warren Buffett said. You know what question those threads forget to answer? It's, what should I listen to you? Right? So it's not just about getting viral tweets. Anybody can do that. Like, trust me, anybody can do that. It's about how to make people trust you and have good content at the same time, right? That's why we're going to talk about ourselves, because once you have this framework, right? Once you already copied this format, and you're like, I actually tested that. I actually went through something similar. It gives you so much more depth and so much more credibility, because people can question when you talk about other people. People cannot question you when you talk about yourself, because you are an expert on you. So that's the second part of the framework. And third part of the framework comes from my favorite Charles Bukowski quote in history. So it's from his book Women, and he's just sitting there on his desk, and his girl comes over, and the girl asks him, "Did you write today?" And he goes, "Yeah, a little." And the girl asks, "Well, was it good?" And Charles says, "You never know until 18 days later." And that, for me, that's the coolest way to describe writing, because that is true. Like, when you write, you feel like you're a god. And when you edit, you feel like you're trash. But eventually what comes out is something good. Okay? So just this whole overview to explain to you that if you really want to get like good at writing, you probably are already good in the ideas that you have because of so many experiences you've come through already. All you need to do is know how to channel it. And we channel that by the 3-step process I'm going to walk you through right now, which is copying, talking about yourself, and editing. Let's go. So, all right. So I'm going to have my Google document here. I'm going to write tweets live for you. So tweets demo. Now I just ate, and as you know, people get kind of like slow when they just eat. So I'm not in my peak performance now, which is not an excuse. It's actually it's a prop, because you're going to see that you can do this at any state. So first thing you do is you copy. Okay, so that's number one. I'm actually going to put this on the header. Copy, talk, edit. Okay, so first thing you do is you copy. So who are you going to copy, right? You copy people who have the success that you want. Very simple, right? So for me I'm thinking, okay, who has the audience that I would love to have? Like, who has the audience that I would love to have? Somebody who has a lot of creators that want to monetize. So for example, Jack Butcher is an excellent example. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter by Jack Butcher's best tweets. So I do min_faves. That tells Twitter, look for the minimum 300 like tweets, right? And then I go to latest, because if you go to top, it usually doesn't show you the best stuff. I'm gonna up the number. I up the number here because if every tweet he sends has more than 300 likes, then you're not gonna get the best, you know? So now what's next? I look at his tweets and then I copy, okay? So I see what is he talking about, and then I model it to my experience, right? I talk about myself, okay? So phase one, done. I'm copying Jack Butcher. Phase two, talking about myself, okay? So do it without waiting for someone to tell you to do it. Welcome to the 1%. So what this does, it creates ideas in my head. So I'm gonna walk you through what I'm thinking as I do this. So just a bit more scrolling, you'll have all figured it out. Maybe. It's a beautiful day to start refreshing analytics and work on what makes the analytics go up. I saw just a bit more scrolling and you'll have it figured out. It sparked the idea in my brain, as in, like, if you keep doing what doesn't move the needle forward, the needle will move forward. See? Like, you don't really have to take this too seriously. You can just talk about anything. Remember, just writing doesn't mean it's going to be posted, right? When I used to ghostwrite, I wrote like 50 tweets in a batch, let's say, and the good ones were maybe like 7. It just happens, right? That one did have another process. It's not this one, but so you don't have to write 50 tweets. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Let's see. The more effortless it looks, the more effort it took. Okay. The more effortless it looks, the more effort it took. Give me a second. Well, I'm going to keep going. When you encounter a block, just keep going. Who cares? This is pointless. Can't believe this app is only 43 billion. It cannot be overstated how one person believing your work can affect the trajectory of your life. That's a good one. So, my wildest success, Tweet Hunter, came from IBM. My biggest day on Twitter, the templates, which was a product launch, came from ADM. My current company, tweets and clients, came from ADM. Listen, if the best thing about Twitter isn't the timeline, it's other people. That's actually good. That's actually fire. Okay, see? So I'm using his stuff, and then I'm talking about myself. I'm not going back and editing, because when you edit, you interrupt the process, right? It's kind of like when you're working on stuff and like you hear a message from your phone, like you're on your computer and you hear a phone and you're like, oh, well, I got to respond. Like, it's not the time that it takes you to respond, which is going to be 2 minutes. It's the fact that it deviated your attention from what you were doing. So in reality, the opportunity cost is it took you a long time to get back in the groove, the schmoving of the tweets, if you will. Okay. Bad news, you're the problem. Good news, you're the solution. Okay, so okay. This tweet came from the idea of bad news, you're the problem, good news, you're the solution, is that we usually need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. Okay, so you know how, have you ever accomplished something and then when you look back, you're like, dude, I already knew what to do this whole time. I was overcomplicating it because it just happens. So I'm just letting my brain like free flow here. I have no attachment to whether the tweet does well or not, because like it really doesn't matter. Like when you're editing something, you're like, man, this isn't performing that well. The only person that cares is you. Nobody cares. Like I'm recording this live. If I fuck up, I just delete it. And I'm like, hi guys, this didn't work. Next, right? Who cares? Okay. Time versus money. Slow down. See? Slow down. Again, doing more will take you to 10K a month. Doing less but better will take you to 100K a month. So that's just stuff that I'm like thinking as I go. Just to show you that I'm not, I didn't schedule this or whatever. I'm just gonna pick a fitness guy, just so you know. So, oh, there's my co-founder. There you go. Or anybody really. So, oh, this is a good one. Tax, Tone. So he's an accountant. And if you know my business, I am not an accountant. So this is going to be a good one. I also have this feature called Tweemax. Tweemax shows you the best tweets from somebody. You can use this. So yeah, I'm going to use Tweemax. Maybe this will, we can come up with some good stuff here. So Tony, right. I'm here on Tweemax looking at Tony's best tweets. Okay, so billionaire track strategy. Hire an artist to make a painting for 10K. Pay an appraiser 10K to validate it at 10 million. Donate it to a museum for 10 million. That only costs 20K. Bonus points for owning the museum. All right, so what is, like for me, the idea this sparked in my head is you can rig the game, right? So it's like you don't have to do the hard work, right? You can skip the line. So for me, it's one thread. What it is, one thread. What amateurs see, thread. What pros see, one thread. One LinkedIn post, one YouTube video, one Instagram reel, one Instagram post, one broadcast, one flow. Multiple short form videos, repurposing content for 6 months in the future. Do less with more. See? This is how it's done. Let's go. Okay. Okay. Now we already copy it. Now what we do is we talk about ourselves. Okay. I kind of did it as I went through it because this one I didn't. It was kind of more of a platitude thing, but doesn't matter. So this one I did. I talked about myself, right? So I could have said, hey guys, just talk to more people. That is the key to success. But nobody listens to you about success unless you're successful. Nobody listens to you about fitness unless you're fit, right? So talk about what you have done. That adds to the body of knowledge. It makes you reputable because even though people can question what you say, they cannot question what you say about yourself. Like about you, like you are an expert on you, right? So talk about yourself. Like nobody can question that. And people will respect you more because it makes you look more humble. Doing more will take you to 10K a month. Doing less but better will take you to 100K a month. I could go here and talk about myself and say, and edit again, took me to oh my god, I'm so posting this. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see if it does well, right? Let's see if I'm a scam. See, I'm testing it. What it is, one thread. What amateur C, one thread. What pro C, boom, 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 boom. See, like you can do a lot of stuff just by following this very simple framework. You copy others because you want to model success. That's Tony Robbins says this. This is how you win. I just model other people who did what you want to do. Okay, I'm gonna put this over here so I can actually look at you. So second thing you do is you talk about yourself because that adds to the body of knowledge and it makes you look more humble, makes you look like you're actually, you know, you're just not pointing fingers at people like, do this, do that. It's like, no, I went through this. I have my scars. Like, look at them. This is what you can learn from it. And then you edit because you never know, like you are good at what you do, right? And if you couldn't measure the best writers of the world and you didn't let them edit, you would consider them shitty writers. That's just real talk because that is where the real magic comes. So you write a bunch of stuff, right? And then you're like, okay, I let my brain run wild. You don't go back to edit. You only do it at the end, right? Like we did. I only went through this at the end. And then once you do that, you just edit stuff, make it look pretty. You already know what to do. Like, honestly, you have already written good stuff. You already come up with a bunch of stuff. You're good at communicating. You just haven't channeled it with this framework. Copying, talking about yourself, and then editing. So go out there and copy other people, talk about yourself, and edit your stuff. See ya.